Hello. Okay, this is a ukulele. But I don't want to speak about ukuleles. I want to speak about living the language you're learning. Because sometimes it's a very dry approach to the language. That doesn't mean that we have to fall into the category of bullshit learning. I would say a quite fair-minded, level-headed approach is let's try to learn things in the most natural way through watching and associating an object to the sound, movement and actions to verbs, and the whole context makes possible the for the person to infer the meaning through different attempts till you learn the thing, but you don't learn in a cognitive way. I mean, it's like your language. You just hear the sound and have the meaning in your mind, which doesn't happen through the other language. I would say that for the most part it shouldn't happen when it comes to some kind of objects or animals or name of plants. You can pretty well, I mean for the most part, use a bridge language, your language, for a specific animal, despite the fact that sometimes even for animals you have different take on reality. For example, in English, you use camel for what we in Italian distinguish dromedary. The one who has one hump would differentiate from the one that has two humps. So in this case, but for the most part, yes, in this case. But for the rest, the approach is natural but doesn't mean casual. Method selects for you
the thing you need to learn in a progressive way. So, and sometimes, when I teach forms of the verb, I tend to make that something alive, not a list of things. And my approach, for example, I read a lot of Greek because Greek is a language you can read, and for the most part, you don't get bad habits of pronunciation because there's a stress on the word, and I would say doesn't it exposes you to a lot of words if you read something that is good for your level. For example, I am reading and working under this. This is a diary wimpy grid, and I actually take a lot of notes. Surely my level is already past the level I understand the flow of the language. So I just want to actively use some words so I even understand. And I use Greek and English for the notes. That's a very, very common language. It's a spoken language, the language you speak every day. And this, on the other part, is not a spoken language. So I'm exposed to this language, and but really I'm not. I'll still underline words and put dots. This is a literary, more a language that you don't find easily in spoken Greek. But I still use monolingual, and since I'm in Italy, I prefer to use English because I don't want to forget my English. And this is one monolingual dictionary.
Oh, well, it happens to me sometimes I mix Greek and English. That means that Greek is becoming, how to put it, my uh, is entering my subconscious. So that's very important, a very important thing. So the approach I usually see is quite wrong. It's no wonder most of people are not successful. And what you see on the web, for the most part, for example, Greek, I don't find a select. I mean, what I see for Greek is a very low level, even we say intermediate. You're not exposed to real life language. I would say if uh, you have absorbed basic words. I mean, basic words means not some hundred words, but in a very subconscious way means you hear and you immediately detect a word, ta 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 ta, like a software. You can follow real life spoken language in real time. That's one of the basic problem. People know words, but they cannot make heads or tails, because when we speak, everything is connected. There's breaks between words, and you need to have in your mind a kind of software.
Say, like a recognition word, then immediately recognize the word, knows the several meanings, and can immediately also choose subconsciously, obviously, the meaning that fits the situation. So if I say loro hanno una casa, I wouldn't say they, your house. I immediately understand that hanno is have. And if we say this is my son, I wouldn't think immediately this is my uh, the one that's in the sky. I would say my son. I mean my my child. So that's very important. If you acquire a basic, not basic, the way I see it, language, and it takes some time, even 1 year. You need to be exposed a lot, and you need to be exposed to the right language, that kind of language, and you absorb it. You will understand people when they speak in common life, because usually, believe you me, I've been in Greece for 7 days, and I didn't use a lot of new words. I mean, now and then I bumped into a word I don't know, a word I forgot because I already studied a long time ago. But my approach now is different. I know fewer words, but I know them better. My speech is more fluent, the sound is better. I don't know so many words because in order to absorb many words, it takes time. Another secret, as I said before, is to absorb the right words, the right idiom, the most common, what you would expect from a child who's 3 years old, from a 3-year-old child who's 3 years old. That is the language we should aim at when we learn a foreign language. So when I have this video where I speak about regular, irregular tense, I tend verbs to use in phrases. So we not only say arrivo, come, I know I will come to, I come from, da, a. I usually use them in a context, so we are immediately pushed to use phrases to
juggle a verb, a subject, an object, an adjective, how to change the adjective according to the gender, to make a plural, several plural, and it's a kind of reflex. I have to acquire that in Greek, because in Greek, they have genders. We have genders, masculine and feminine, but they have neuter genders, and they declinisms. It means they change the ending, not according only to masculine, feminine, singular or plural, according to the role in the sentence. If this is subject, object, they don't have only I and me, but for every word there's a subject, I, and an object. For most every word, because they are different declinations. But I tend to use a genitive when I need to need a genitive. It's quite a complex thing when it comes to nouns. But I wouldn't say that I have to think. When I say to Andra, okay, in modern Greek there's no genitive, there's no marker of a genitive for masculine that have nominative and s with s, but sigma. But for feminine you have s, which is a genitive, tis gynekas. So it takes quite a lot of hearing to develop the right reflex. Ton andron, ton gynekon, ton aesthesion, spolios, you can say. Yes, I studied that. But is it sufficient? No, it's not. Tell you, it's not. When you speak in real time. I don't know exactly, but it's a fraction of a second. The mind prepares what you're going to say. If you don't have a reflex, you cannot go into your software or grammar and search for the right genitive of the right word. It doesn't work like that. You don't have the time. Either your speak gets very slow or and stilted in a way, or you are fluent and you make many mistakes. So the idea is to slow it down a little bit, but not so slow that it becomes cumbersome and annoying for the person who's following you. So that is what I think about languages. Don't underestimate listening and don't overestimate speaking. When you've laid the groundwork through a lot of extensive listening, and listening that can be absorbed by you, not listening and then goes over your head. When you've laid the groundwork, believe you me, even the speech, even the sounds will be a lot easier. Θέλω να πάω σπίτι. Okay, I have that in English, but we don't have χέρι. I don't even have to think, oh, this is a he. We don't have he. I have to remember. No, it's a reflex. Same goes when you're learning Italian, double consonants, some sounds that don't exist in English, neither in English nor in Greek for that matter, like the ñ, the ly, double consonant. What I will recommend, don't start speaking if you don't have a good grasp of phonetics. I mean, if you don't differentiate different words that have only this sound, it doesn't exist in your language. So if you say pala, palla, pala, palla, pala, palla, pala, you see here pala and you hear what a pala is, you hear a palla and you hear what a pala is, till in your mind you get a file for the different sound. If you don't have a file for that, you haven't developed that, your mind is going to put everything in the same basket, and you're going to end up speaking a very stupid, funny, simplified form of the language, and then they say, oh no, you need to live there. No, you don't need to live there. You need to be exposed to the language extensively and continuously. Goodbye.